All right.
Okay, so welcome everybody. I am Dan Standing,
And I'm Alex Fort.
and I've already screwed up our introductions because I was supposed to say more following my name. Let me totally pretend that I'm going to edit all of that out and not keep this as a cold opening. Howdy everyone, I'm Dan Standing, and I'm a transformation comic and prose creator.
And I'm Alex Fort, the fantasy fetish scholar and social scientist.
And together we are the co-hosts of Modern Metamorphoses, the podcast that you have, for whatever reason, decided you're going to spend precious moments of your life listening to right now. We thank you for that sacrifice.
Yes, they are finite and beautiful, so we appreciate you.
And exactly, they are valuable because they are fleeting. So, what is it that you've decided to dedicate yourself to today? Well, if you haven't listened to us before, Modern Metamorphoses is a look at comics, prose, movies, TV shows, and other media involving the physical or mental alteration of its characters or metahuman themes. Striving to be insightful, respectful, and inclusive, this series discusses adult material at times, but overall, it is an all-access program. Join us now as we look at how metamorphoses in media have evolved into the modern era. I think that's my first time really reading that in a dramatic effort. I hope that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, that was really solid. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm sold.
You. All right, cool. Well, it's too late for you, so...
Yeah, what am I dedicating my fleeting moments to?
Well, actually, I'm a little mad at you.
Why is that?
Because it was your idea for us to watch Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
That is absolutely my fault, and I'll take full credit.
So let's just get right into it. Let me talk about. So our primary discussion today is going to be the film Mortal Kombat Annihilation. We are going to look at it in regards to a number of things. Part of it being transformation or meta-human aspects. I know I always come to these things looking to do an assessment of my 3 core transformation tenets. And that's cause, process, and impact. And we can get right into it. Unless, do you want to do any other bantering there?
The main bantering is I just want to tell people that as much as I despise this movie, it holds a very special place in my heart because I just have a lot of nostalgia for just how awful it is.
Oh, okay. Well, if there's any other association of particular affection you have for it, do mention it now because I am about to get real salty about it. So,
did you know that the famous song from it is not the only song that was made for Mortal Kombat?
I mean, I think we all know the Mortal Kombat, which I know from the first movie, which is where I have all of my love for it. I didn't know there was a second one from Annihilation.
Oh, no. There's a whole album.
Specifically from Annihilation?
Oh, not specifically for Annihilation, but for Mortal Kombat.
Oh, yes. Oh, no. I mean, anything generally associated or from the original film, I still love and is worthy of nostalgia. But no, I don't think I've ever heard anything else off the album, though, outside of that main famous song.
Yeah, that's most people, so I'm just kind of letting you know and letting all the listeners know that if you look up the Mortal Kombat soundtrack by the Immortals, you will understand how they just did not understand what they were doing for these movies.
Okay.
Because it's almost like they tried very hard to make an anthem for characters that did not have background. Because you know how deep the first Mortal Kombat went. It was like, look how cool these people are. They're fighting, and that's that. But they wrote, theme songs for these people.
I did not know that there was more background that we didn't get from an edited soundtrack for the film.
Oh my god.
Let me just say, I love what are typically considered to be bad movies. Like, I will be 100% honest with you. Right now, I'm eagerly awaiting my pre-ordered Blu-ray DVD combo copy of Cats 2019.
Oh.
I have a deep love for films that I feel like are just unique visions. And I just don't have that love for Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Yeah, please dunk on this bad boy for me.
Oh, I had such a horrible experience watching Mortal Kombat Annihilation that I actually started to doubt how much I really liked the first movie. To the point where after I finished watching it, I had to then go back and start rewatching the first Mortal Kombat. and remind myself, oh no, I do actually really like this movie and think that it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, like, has it aged well? But
it's aged better than Annihilation, that's for sure.
It's so easy to forget how much of the cast they changed when you don't watch the first one first.
Yeah. Now, I think the first thing that I noticed is, of course, that Christopher Lambert is no longer Raiden.
Yeah, that's a pretty big change.
Yeah. Now, I do love a sort of weird trivia, though, that's not really related to Mortal Kombat Annihilation, except in retrospect. So, the guy who plays Raiden in this is a guy by the name of James Remar, and I'm now going to start talking about what sounds like a completely different subject. I love the DC comic book shows on the CW.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're great. I also think that the CW does a great job of like joke casting, but with heart when it comes to casting its characters. Like in The Flash, the father of Barry Allen in this CW show is played by the actor who played the Flash in the 80s show.
Oh.
The actress who plays Supergirl's adopted mother, I think was actually cast when it was in the CBS era, but that's the woman who played Supergirl in the movie. The CW just has an amazing time doing weird referential casting when it does stuff. And so James Remar plays the character of Peter Gamby on Black Lightning. And so I just find it really funny that the guy who played Raiden in Mortal Kombat Annihilation is now the costumer for a lightning-powered superhero on the CW.
That's actually a very, very... I didn't even realize that the Black Lightning was out, and so this makes this very funny.
Yeah, well, first of all, the first season of Black Lightning, I think, is one of the best seasons of television that I've ever watched. It was the same season as, I think, season 4 of Legends of Tomorrow, which is the other end of the greatest television series of season of like both of them were going at the same time, and they're both amazing for different reasons. But the fact that James Remar played Raiden is such a deep cut that I just love that is who is on Black Lightning.
Yeah, they couldn't get Christopher Lemaire.
Is it Lemaire or Lambert?
Lambert, you're right.
I like Lemaire though. I like that pronunciation. So yes, that's what I do love about watching him in this, is really knowing him more as a Black Lightning actor and then going back and watching his Raiden, which isn't the worst. The problem is he's not Christopher Lambert.
Yeah, that's the big crime.
Yeah. Sonya Blade is also a different actress.
Yes.
She's fine. I don't really have any favor either way with them, honestly, with either actress between the two movies.
I think the only ones that they kept the same were Liu Kang and Johnny Cage, and Johnny Cage had a bad deal on the contract, and so they just got rid of him.
Yeah, let me tell you that. Okay, so obviously we'll get to the transformation stuff in a minute.
We'll hit the point here in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get to it because Mortal Kombat Annihilation is basically the adventure version of a movie, the choose your own change version of a movie. Johnny Cage getting killed in the first 5 minutes of Mortal Kombat Annihilation is a turning point that the film never recovers from.
You are absolutely correct.
If I 100% believe that if that actor playing Johnny Cage, who I love as Johnny Cage, was alive throughout this film and had the opportunity to bounce back and forth the wonderful observations of Jax on how ridiculous everything is that's going on.
Oh, yeah.
This would be a completely watchable film.
Yeah. If you got two mundane people just kind of like, that dude just turned into a dragon?
Yeah, and I love Jax in this film. Jax is one of the bright points of this movie. Another newly cast actor, because I always forget that Jax is actually in the first film.
Is he?
He is for about 5 minutes. He's with Sonya when they first go to find Kano.
You're absolutely right. He was there in the raid.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Which,
again, another thing I would not have remembered personally if I hadn't immediately gone back to rewatch the first film to remind myself that I did indeed still like it. Yeah, so let's kind of, I think, hit some points about this film before we delve into a little bit of, I know what is your favorite part of it is like the making of or why it was made outside of money.
I definitely love just like how wrong everything went behind the scenes, because everything in the scenes is not great to look at.
The weird thing is, though, is that no one takes Mortal Kombat Annihilation as seriously as Mortal Kombat Annihilation takes itself.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that I do admire in it. Like, outside of Jax, like, being like, what the hell is going on? And literally nobody ever explaining anything to him, which is also most of how this movie works. It does take every single part of Mortal Kombat's obviously ridiculous canon pretty seriously.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely true to itself.
Mm-hmm. The problem for me, though, as I finally kind of realized it, is that Mortal Kombat Annihilation is not as classy as the first Mortal Kombat. I know that might sound like a weird thing to describe the original Mortal Kombat as. It's classy.
Yeah, that's a strong adjective to throw on that.
But if you watch them back to back, it is immediately evident the difference in just the tone of how they are filmed. And part of that might be because the director of Mortal Kombat Annihilation was the cinematographer on the first Mortal Kombat, but this is his first time directing.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I think that played into a part of it, but we'll get into that. In regards to transformation and metahumanism, Mr. Fort, was there anything of all of this smorgasbord, and I have like a page and a half of notes here, of all of this smorgasbord of stuff that happens in this movie, is there a particular favorite of yours?
I think my particular favorite is still the robot fights. I'm still absolutely like a child when it comes to just like, they're robots and they fight. And then like, they're just like, the armor looks cool and it's just so dramatic. When it's just like, it looks like a dude wearing something you would find in a Halloween city, just like the cheap molded plastic, and they just like are duking it out in this lab that you have no idea how they got there and how it survived.
Yeah, I think, I will say, if you want to cosplay as a character from Mortal Kombat Annihilation, it is a probably very affordable goal. They are true to the games, which I think at the time Mortal Kombat 3 was the current game that was out.
I think so. I think Mortal Kombat 3 is what happened.
Yeah.
Because Motaro was in there and he was in 3.
Yeah, and they talk about Stryker and another character who die off screen, just referenced and die off screen. And I'm sure Stryker died because he didn't use his stupid sidearm.
Oh yeah, dude with a gun?
Who doesn't use it at all in Mortal Kombat 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a... Yeah, there's so many weird things that it's trying to reference for true fans, and I think part of it is because Ed Boon is... I'm not sure if he's credited as one of the writers just because he wrote the overarching mythology of Mortal Kombat, or if he actually worked on both films. But again, there's some weird, kind of small references thrown in that are, again, weirdly serious, but horribly executed.
Yeah.
I think so I've got kind of a list of the transformation stuff in this film, and it kind of roughly follows the plot of the film, if you can call there being a plot in this film.
They fight to keep fighting. That's the plot.
That is entirely the plot. And so there are things in this that when I say I feel like it's like the adventure, ADDVENTURE, where there were I think there's 5 writers who worked on this, and it really does feel like, somebody wrote a little bit of a story, and then the next person came in and they were like, oh, well, I really want to, see some action with Sub-Zero and Scorpion, so I'm going to write a scene that includes Sub-Zero and Scorpion. But then the next person picked up the pen and was like, well, I don't really care about Sub-Zero and Scorpion, so we're not going to see them again for the rest of the movie. Because I'll give Mortal Kombat Annihilation some credit. It gives us almost immediately the things that we want. It starts out with the great Mortal Kombat song.
Mm-hmm.
We very quickly get to see Motaro, Shiva, and Sindel. And Motaro, of course, is a centaur. The worst centaur I've ever seen, though. Hercules: The Legendary Journeys does centaurs far better than Mortal Kombat Annihilation does.
I was going to bring those up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was just like, didn't Hercules have a centaur? And it wasn't, like, amazing? But yeah, it's definitely better than Old Boy.
Yeah, I think because Motaro has front legs with knees that bend like human legs, and they did not make any attempt to change that or hide that or make it work at all. Even when you briefly see him fully CG rendered, it's still the wrong facing legs.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's done very well. I do like Shiva, though. I think for as briefly as we see her and her 4 arms, I feel like the effect is pretty well done.
Because they absolutely nailed it in the first one.
Yeah, but the thing about Goro in the first one is it's pretty clear that it is a big guy with then a larger, like, harness resting on top of him. I think that's how they did it. It
was a puppet rig.
Yeah, it's a puppet rig on top of a person. Shiva, because she's pretty revealing. Her outfit's basically like the Borat suit. It just kind of goes down. There's not any place to really hide anything. So however they achieved that, I feel is pretty successful, given that they still tried to give her a pretty human-shaped and alluringly shaped torso.
Yeah, they certainly tried.
Yeah, so I like how Shiva's done, and then we get Sindel, who I only mentioned because later she actually like whips her hair, and that's certainly, in an inhuman fashion.
Mm-hmm.
I also love the fact that Shao Kahn, when he appears, is like, the Earth was created in 6 days, and on the 7th day, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, did Shao Kahn just confirm the Judeo-Christian religion is real?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
He's got a Bible in Outworld, and he's preaching the good word.
Yeah, because I'm kind of like, that's an odd thing to confirm before throwing anything to do with that belief system out the window.
Well, no, but that makes him all the more powerful in the fact that he's like, God is real, and he's not stopping me.
That's true. That's very true. Let's see here. What happens after we get our introduction of our non-human characters? Not a whole lot. Johnny Cage dies, which is...
Yeah, that's the big one.
That's definitely the point where I'm like, nope, we're done now, movie. Thank you for making the wrong decision early. I know now. I know now that I don't need to care.
You're just disqualified. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. The beginning is... I do love that at the beginning, it's Raiden sort of guessing at and presuming what is happening and just basically telling everybody, take my word for it.
Yeah.
And then later on in the movie, it's like, oh, oopsies, I was wrong.
Yeah, it's like, I'm a god? Question mark, shoulder shrug.
He smiled like God Jr.
Yeah. Godlight.
Yeah. I don't know. The whole film, nothing about it gets anything... Like, one of the reasons the first film works for me is we're told these are the rules. We're not really given too much about why they're the rules. They just are. We've been told that they've worked 9 times before, and for the most part, the rules stick. Like, they follow the rules in the first movie.
Yeah, like, it's cohesive. The goal is clear.
Mm-hmm.
You know exactly what he wants, like why he wants it, and who's gonna get it.
Yeah. The problem then is throwing out all of these rules in this film is that you then have to be like, okay, well, who was it that was enforcing these rules? Oh, it was these elder gods. Oh, okay, who are they? Why are they the ones who are enforcing it or not enforcing it in this case? Well, I don't know. We'll go find out. Oh, oopsie daisy. One of them just doesn't like humans anymore. Oh, okay. Sure.
Oh, how well they called it now.
Mm-hmm. I did write in my notes that Cyrus Smoke is pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really see him coalescing from his smoke form to his physical form, but we do get to see him frozen by Sub-Zero, who appears out of nowhere, does a thing, and then, along with Scorpion, just kind of buggers out for the rest of the film.
They are ninjas.
They are ninjas. That is, I mean, you could be right in that they could be in the film, but we just don't see them.
They're just fighting in the back very subtly.
Yes. I mean, there could be ninjas right here in this room with me, and I wouldn't know. If they're very good ninjas, then yeah, maybe that's true, that we just don't see how they are acting on the rest of the film. That's how good they are. Sub-Zero does have some pretty decent ice powers. His ice duplication effect, I thought, looked pretty good. We do get Scorpion's classic get over here. I'm presuming that at one point Scorpion melts, and I guess that's his teleport?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, listeners, if it sounds like we're just listing random things, that's because that's what this movie is.
This movie, to me, it doesn't feel like 5 writers in a room and they each had what they wanted. To me, it feels like there was a dude who had a really nice suit on who slapped a piece of paper in front of like 3 writers and said, you have to hit these notes. People want these notes. And they're like, how do we tie this ragtag list of just like, okay, so Scorpion's catchphrase, Sub-Zero's it, but like the new Sub-Zero has a face? How are we going to reveal that? What happened? Didn't Sub-Zero die? I could have swore he got impaled on something big in the last one. You know, we'll figure this out. And that just happened for the whole movie.
It does come off to me as a film, like you said, is that they are literally coming up with these solutions minutes before they're supposed to film them.
Or worse, they came up with a really nice, like, coherent script, and then, like, the bigwigs are like, this movie can't be 2.5 hours long. So they had to cut a bunch of stuff down, and so it just seems disjointed because all the transitions that actually mattered are gone.
It does, I agree. It's almost as if they downsized the movie after they had already cast everybody. It's like, oh, look, we've got Rain, the purple ninja. We can't afford him anymore. Oh, okay, we'll just have Shao Kahn kill him within 5 minutes. Oh, okay. It does give us a lot of meta-human stuff, though. I mean, we also get cybernetic enhancement, particularly of Jax, who's got his metal arms now.
Mm-hmm.
I love, though, that Jax is really the only character who really has a character arc for no real reason.
Yeah, Liu Kang kind of does.
He kind of does, but he's... Okay, the problem with having the same actor playing Liu Kang in both movies is that I've seen that he can act in the first movie. And so I know when I watch this movie that he's not being given anything to work with. And so his entire story arc is just, you're not ready, you're not ready, you're not ready. Oh, you're going to go see Nightwolf and you're going to have 3 tests. Well, here's 2 tests. What the hell is the 3rd test? I don't know. I guess it's whether or not you survive fighting Shao Kahn.
It got cut.
Yes.
That's why I think it got cut.
That's just true. Hey, we can only afford 2 tests. Well, we already filmed him saying there were 3 tests. Don't worry about it.
You want to get that guy back? We've already sent him home.
Yeah. He's already off the set. We can't bring him back. You know what? Just put a woman in a bikini in the snow, inexplicably. People won't remember that you said anything about other tests. Because that's just Jade's introduction. It's just like, oh, a woman in a bikini. Okay.
Oh, that's right. That is how she gets introduced. God damn, this movie is just... I've already forgotten an amount of it.
I am only able to remember some of this is because I have notes, which I think it's just... my only note is just Jade. FLAH spin outfit change. Oh, because she spins around to change her outfit at one point. It's, oh my god. Oh, my brain. This is hurting. This is hurting.
I regret nothing.
Let's get back to at least listing out all of these transformations that are in this movie. So we've got Jax, who's got a cybernetic enhancement.
Yes.
I also, again, Jax is the best character. I love that Sonya hands him his jacket, and in what is, I think, must have been an improvised moment, he just rips the arms off his jacket. Yeah. Like, it's subtle. It's almost off the camera as it's, like, panning over to see, I think it's Cyrax who arrives. But there's this moment of him just ripping the arms off his jacket, and when you cut back, he's just got it's basically the Left Hand of Doom problem I have with Hellboy, who I love, but for the love of God, cannot figure out how he gets that jacket on over the Doom hand.
That's a really good... I never thought about that. Maybe he has, like, a sewing kit near his tail that he can kind of, like... It's always ripped along the seam, and then he just, like, slips it on, and then, like, the tail sews it. No, that's just dumb.
No, see, in my mind, I have a solution that's both elegant and also ridiculously stupid. In my mind, that's
Hellboy.
Yeah, I mean, I love Hellboy. The seam of that arm jacket is Velcroed. So anytime Hellboy puts that jacket on or off, though, you have to have the indeterminate, like... Yeah,
you gotta have the tear,
Yeah, and then when he puts it on, he then has to sit there and, like, run his hand down the bottom of it, just like... to, like, seal up the sleeve around his arm. So yeah, I don't know how Jax gets that jacket on, but it looks amazing. I love Jax. He's great. We get to see Cyrax acid dissolve a dude.
Yeah, with an acid net.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That looks pretty good. It's definitely like one step above. It's somewhere between Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Blade 1, like, dissolving effects.
Yeah, it is.
Then we just jump to Liu Kang meeting Nightwolf. Yes. Another character who shows up for all of 7 minutes and then is gone.
Does it say something that not only do they confirm Judeo-Christianity, they also confirm that, like, Native American mysticism, at least by that tribe, is also valid?
I mean, it says something about them not really thinking out their decisions. Again, Exhibit A, killing Johnny Cage.
Yeah, they already know that the decision making is bad and they should have a guardian ad litem. But I feel like it's almost like accidentally like, you know what? Everything is valid. Every religion is true. Everyone has their own powers from everything else. But let's just see who wins in a fight.
I mean, that would be an awesome movie if that's what we got. Instead, it's just... I don't... Oh, my brain. So, we get... with Nightwolf, a very iffy CG animality reversion.
It looks like Animorphs, like the cover of the books.
It does look like Animorphs. And the thing about Nightwolf's transformation is wolf to human transformations is not a unique thing.
No.
Like, you have, at that time, almost 100 years of filmmaking of people turning into wolves and back to humans. We should know how to do this.
They've been doing this for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Like, the original cinematic shared universe figured out how to do this. If your effects are worse than a 1930s Universal film, take them back.
Yeah, try something else.
Yeah, it's really bad. We also get a little bit of a flash of Liu Kang with like dragon eyes and scales, which looks 100 times better than what we will see later when they actually do the full animality with him.
Yeah, they had to bring the animalities in. They just had to.
It's weird though. So for me, an animality, what makes an animality is tied to the whole like killing blow thing.
Yeah.
Just because that's a fatality or animality. To hear them like, your animality, this is your animality. I'm like, no, wait, hold on. It's your transform. Like, your animality is not the way I always understood Mortal Kombat is a mystical connection to something. An animality is just a finishing move that involves turning into an animal.
It's a portmanteau of animal and fatality. That's all it is.
It's in the name. Like, I don't know. So it's weird for me watching this movie, hearing them keep referring to animality like that.
It feels like in video games when the character, like, you know, like you're going through an introduction and they're like looking at Solid Snake and they're like, use the left stick to advance. And you imagine Snake sitting there in the universe going, what the hell's a left stick?
Yes, exactly. It's almost kind of like Liu Kang. In order to defeat Shao Kahn, all you have to do is push the joystick away, then toward, and then a half-quarter turn, and then hit high kick.
All right, I think I can do that. You have to be standing 2 paces back.
Yeah, don't be too close or else you'll end up pushing into him, and then your kick will connect, and it'll cancel the whole button thing.
And then he'll just fall over, and that's just not satisfying.
Yeah, no, you've wasted the two quarters at that point, because it's not anybody's here. Just like everybody who paid to see this film in the theater, which includes me, definitely wasted their money on this film.
I'm glad I wasted my parents' money.
Okay, yes, technically, I think my ticket was probably paid for by my mother, which does not make any of this any better. Oh. Help that woman. She's sat through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, to distract us from the fact that we only get 2 of Nightwolf's tests, we meet Jade, who also, actually, hold on. Now that I'm thinking about this, wait, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
She presents herself. No, she doesn't even present herself with this. Liu Kang, hold on, wait. We found another plot hole. Holy crap.
Oh, if we're going to be mentioning plot holes, we're going to be looking all day.
Yeah, I know. Liu Kang presumes that she is the second test, that she's there to tempt him.
Yes.
But then we find out later that she's just a plant by Shao Kahn and she's not, like, really on their side.
She's just an assassin.
So, yeah. We don't even get a real second test from Nightwolf.
You are absolutely correct.
Oh, my God. All right. Just moving on. She's in a bikini. She swirls around, has a costume change. It's weird, but not bad. It's not the worst thing I've seen in this film. What do we get? We get Melina, but we don't see her weird Baraka teeth. There's a meat monster from a statue, which is at least a little bit of foreshadowing for later when Jade gets eaten by one. So,
oh yeah.
So there's your 4. Speaking of this film not being especially classy, the battle with Melina is between her and Sonya Blade in a mud pit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was actually, I believe that was the moment where I was like, this film isn't as classy as the last film. Now I get it.
Again, there was a list, and one of them had to be mud wrestling.
All I'll say is that most of the writers on this film also wrote Food Fight. So
wait, like the one that came out recently?
Food Fight, the animated movie with all of the brands. Yeah, that Food Fight. The one with Charlie Sheen.
Oh no, I know what you're talking about. I forgot that movie existed, and now I'm just confronted with the fact that it exists.
Yeah. So let's also remember that most of the writers on this film are also responsible for Food Fight.
Oh.
We get Baraka, who, as you said earlier, most of these characters look like they could have simply been put together by going to your local seasonal Halloween store and buying something. Certainly that. Yada, yada, yada. A bunch of bullshit happens. Shiva gets smooshed. Like, Okay, we're not... Okay, yep, alright, we ran out of budget for this fight? Okay, just smoosher.
Yeah.
Jade gets eaten, Ermac weirdly twins himself, Liu Kang, again, has his dragon transformation, which... I mean... Can we again talk about, I think this film came out 4 years after Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The unfortunate thing is that Jurassic Park was like really set a really high bar on practical and visual effects. And so everything that came out in the 90s is automatically measured against that and fails.
I do understand that comparing basically any film to be like, oh, you didn't meet the standards of Spielberg is already an unfair thing to do. Like, I could also sit here and say that Liu Kang's transformation into a dragon doesn't look as real as Bruce the Shark from Jaws.
It doesn't look as good as like half of the effects in the sitcoms from the same time. Like it does not measure up comparably to the budget it had.
That's the thing, is that, and I realized that in the first Mortal Kombat there was this weird CG reptile, but at least he was a singular thing that, alright, fine, it's this weird lizard thing that's also capable of camouflaging itself. It looking a little bit out of place in the film isn't,
Yeah, it's got too few polygons to really, hit the mark, but it worked.
Yeah. Liu Kang as a dragon and then Shao Kahn as a Hydra?
Yes.
Like, at this point, like, okay, they had 4 years to write this movie script. This is the thing about filmmaking, and I've been told this by people who purport themselves to be professional writers who submit scripts, that when you write your script, don't think about what your budget's going to be. That's somebody else's problem if they decide to make your film. But I'm sorry. It upsets me so much that somebody didn't say, you know what we probably can't do? Like, I don't know. My brain's broken.
Yeah, I'm actually looking it up right now because I realized I didn't look it up. Shao Kahn did not have an animality in the game because he wasn't a playable character in the game.
So they just picked that.
They just decided that what is comparable in strength to a dragon that isn't a dragon, a Hydra will do the trick.
And all right, let's go back to Jurassic Park. They were so caught up in, asking whether or not they didn't stop to think about whether or not they should.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's wrap up this train wreck of a movie here. As far as other transformations are concerned, we have a man and a woman both made out of water and fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the elementals.
Yes, we have the elemental gods, and then when Shinnok is defeated, he, I guess, goes to the Phantom Zone. He gets put in these little boxes that then collapse on themselves, Rubik's Cube style, and disappear.
Yeah, like that weird, kind of tesseract, fourth dimensional space.
Yeah. Again, Mortal Kombat Annihilation does not make any attempt to explain anything, and we do not know what this is that they've done to Shinnok.
Yeah, there's an acceptable level of just, you'll never get the answers, but this one, I don't even think they had the answers.
No, if there's anybody who was like, we'll just mystery box this, not because we want to create a mystery for the audience, but because we just want to finish writing the script, this is Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Because it just looks cool.
I don't know if I think it looked cool.
Well, it looked cool then.
Yeah, I suppose.
2 decades ago, it looked rad.
All I'll say at this point is that we get a pretty alright smoke transformation for Raiden, and everybody celebrates like everything's okay, and they resurrect Raiden, who died. Again, don't ask, it's not worth going into how that happened. But Johnny Cage is still dead. Like, Sonya, who for the first maybe 20 minutes of the film is like, I'm gonna kill him. Basically her motivation for Kano from the first film. That disappears by the end of the film. She doesn't seem to care anymore about Johnny being dead. Like, nobody has a second thought about it. They just all buddy up and the movie ends.
She wasn't given the same arc that Liu Kang got in the first one. It's the exact same, plot point. It's just kind of hey, I killed, the person you love. Come and get me. And she's just like, Yeah, mud wrestling's fun. I guess we're friends now.
I hadn't thought about that. She does have the same, because in the first one, it's Liu Kang and is trying to get Shang Tsung for killing his brother.
Right.
And, oh man. They just made, so this is like Mannequin and Mannequin 2. You have the first film that has a ridiculous premise, and somehow it works, and then they took basically the same plot and plot points and put it in a second film, but added an absurd amount of new stuff for no real reason and made it horribly worse.
I think it's all the new stuff.
So, as much as I want... Okay. Do you want to explore a little bit more of the people who made this atrocity?
I mean, we've already hit a lot of the points.
I will say one other thing, in that there's a lot of transformation and metahuman stuff in this film.
Yeah.
There's an impressive amount of it. I do know that I was looking at the IMDb page for, I think he's the guy who's listed first for script work. And I know I recognized on his IMDb page at least 2 movies that include mermaids.
Oh.
One of them I haven't seen, but it's literally called Mermaid, so that was a pretty easy thing for me to presume. And it is about mermaids seeking revenge on somebody for killing a loved one.
I did not see that mermaid. Okay.
I have not seen that mermaid either, but I'm going to try and track it down. The other one is actually a movie that I have in the video references called Magic Island, which is a really bad movie with, I think it's as the older brother from Home Improvement.
Not Jonathan Taylor Thomas, but the other one?
Yeah, the other guy, whose name is also like 3 names, and I don't remember who he is. But the Magic Island also involves a mermaid. So I actually was trying to wonder, like, so are most of these transformation themes, or the reason that we've got so many of them, because this guy is a fan of that? Like, is there
no.
in his... No,
it's because Mortal Kombat had that already in the first place. And they just had to shoehorn all of it in.
But see, there's 2 ways to go with Mortal Kombat in general, particularly with this movie. And the fact that it's all new writers, outside of Ed Boon, this film has all new writers from the first one, is that you could make the decision to clean up and simplify a lot of the more fantastical elements in this movie. Like, you didn't have to do animalities the way they did them. You didn't have to have some of the special moves. I appreciate that they tried. But I do feel like when you've got 5 people writing this movie, one of them has to be passionate about keeping that stuff, I feel. And it just struck me that this guy wrote at least 2 movies that I recognized as having a metahuman aspect to it.
Yeah. That is an interesting observation. There was a lot of mermaid movies in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, what year was Splash?
That was also like 91, 92.
Okay.
And I can Google that real fast.
Okay. And then we have the movie that I was always angry about, that always tripped me up when I was young and interested in mermaid films, honestly, which is the Cher and Bob Hoskins Mermaids movie, which has nothing to do with mermaids, real mermaids.
Splash was 1984.
Splash was 84?
Yeah, weird.
Were we thinking Splash 2 for the 90s? Because there is a Splash 2.
I think that would, well, let's take a look. Splash 2. As I know, another one that popped up was Hook. Hook had mermaids in it.
Hook does have mermaids in it. Hook's got some great mermaids.
Hook has some great everything. Splash 2 is 1988.
Not even in the 90s yet, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's The Little Mermaid. I know that one's in the 90s.
Yeah, that is one of the movies where I got it for Christmas, and every morning for Christmas break went down to the basement, because that's where the VCR was, and just rewatched it twice every morning. That and Aladdin. And I, to this day, still love my Ariel and my Jasmine. They are amazing. But Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Yes.
Anything else that you want to touch on? I feel like it's a weird... Well, anything else you want to touch on in regards to it?
I guess I'm just still stuck on just like the most prominent transformations in this are the animalities. Like that's just like they put so much emphasis on it because it is like a major plot point to beating the Lord of the Underworld or Outworld, and it's just I would have preferred seeing like Godzilla style, like dudes in suits, just like on wires drop kicking each other.
I think it would have looked so much better.
At least felt a little more real because like stop motion is always such a touchy subject. And I believe like a few years before, like Nightmare Before Christmas happened, and you're again not allowed to do stop motion less than that. Even like I think like Ghoulies and some of the stuff, like all those like I think Gremlins is also in there. Like they just there's like stuff that you could do, and they're just like, no, it's got to be like clay figures duking it out, weird like on matte paintings.
You know, it's interesting you bring this up because I know for years I thought that Goro was done via stop motion.
Yeah.
And it looks more to me like it is just the best they could do at the time animatronic. I think that's like, you know, the dinosaurs sitcom level of facial expressions.
Yeah, I think it was the like a very similar like puppeteering arrangement as that. Yeah.
Yeah. And he looks like, yeah, are his expressions a little bit stilted and a little bit delayed? Yes.
Yeah, they're
does
very
he look
stiff.
Yeah, but does he look 1,000 times better than Liu Kang or Shao Kahn in their animality form?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so much
absolutely.
more convincing to have a dude in a silly suit.
And I just, it's one of those reasons where I'm like, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, you could have been so good, and you rolled back your quality. You lost that class. You tried to cheat for the golden ring, and instead you came up so much shorter than you should have.
They, what's the term? Overpromised and underdelivered.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it bites off so much. And I think that's why more successful adaptations of Mortal Kombat have been television series, where you can kind of like dedicate an episode to a character and kind of have some of them kind of flow in and out.
Well,
but I mean,
yeah.
I can't count on one hand, I don't think, that just the number of new characters in this film, let alone the ones that still come over from the previous one.
Let's see here. Oh, you know what? No, you can't. I think there's like 11 new characters, either, shown even briefly or even mentioned.
Yeah. So, my first question, before we even try and apply cause, process, and impact, which is going to be next to impossible, but we'll give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Before I even get to that, do you feel like I always look at it as two ways. Like, am I pleased that I have Mortal Kombat Annihilation in the Transformium as an example of transformation?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, solid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a solid inclusion in there. It is so heavy in metahumanism and transformation. Again, it is almost like they took like the BE archive adventure and made it a movie. It is almost like that.
Well, yeah, it definitely feels like, you know what? And he should turn into a dragon. And then it's like, well, that character, my guy is going to turn into a Hydra.
Mm-hmm.
And then they fight.
Mm-hmm. And when one person clearly liked Nightwolf, so their entry was about Nightwolf, but nobody else wanted to write about Nightwolf, so he doesn't appear again. Somebody else really stand Sub-Zero and Scorpion, but nobody else cared, so nobody else wrote about them after that guy put in his edition. Like, it's just packed full of this stuff. Yeah. But is it something that I would recommend a Transformation fan own?
I would. But then I also recommended we watch it for this episode.
So you do think that it's worth it being in a person's personal collection?
Yes. I'll argue that because I think that in order to appreciate the good, you have to see the bad.
I will only agree so much in that there are moments of things that are done really well in it,
mm-hmm.
in regards to like Shiva.
Yeah.
But I mean, it hurt watching it. I pride myself on I consider transformation, my work and studies in the transformation field, as a professional thing that I do. I don't get paid professionally for it. I don't have, it's not my 9-to-5 job, but it is something I take seriously and professionally. And oh my God, is there ever a film though that just made me want to go downstairs and like grab 4 or 5 PBRs and bring them back up?
You know what, maybe I'm a little, like, I'm going to say tempered to it because I read the Mortal Kombat novel.
Is it just the nostalgia for it?
No, I read the novel, like, last year, and the book is worse.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
How do you have eyes still?
because we have very, very different tastes in our enjoyment of the bad.
I suppose so.
But I'm the kind of person who's kind of like, hey, this is Alex Fort and this is Jackass, but with books.
Okay, all right, nice. Okay, good to know.
Like, I don't read a lot of books, but I will absolutely, like, read some garbage out loud for fun.
Well, I will say we've certainly done this for science. I don't know if I did it for fun, but I definitely did it for science. Look, I'm gonna say if you have an opportunity to see a best of reel of this movie, personally, I think that'll do you just fine.
Oh yeah, you could definitely get all the good parts summed up in a solid 20 minutes.
Oh, I think that's being generous, but yes, I agree.
Well, keep some of the fight scenes in, and that's automatically 10.
That's true. They are long. They are not short fight scenes. I'll give them that. They really did put they were creative at the fight scenes.
Well, I mean, that's half the point. Actually, you know what? That's 80% the point. It's Mortal Kombat.
I'm going to roll back a lot of this negativity. You know what? I'm actually going to roll it back. What do I think Mortal Kombat Annihilation does really well? I think they are very creative in their fights. I think the fights are well choreographed. Fighters make use of what's in that room. Oh my god, how much stuff does Jax throw around at Cyrax?
Yeah, the set pieces. When you get them, solid. Just as solid as the first.
I agree with that. And you know what? I did notice that, Christopher Lambert is definitely in one of those, like, cave temples somewhere. I don't know where they filmed some of his scenes. Not Christopher Lambert.
Not Christopher Lambert.
Yes, not Christopher Lambert. He's definitely in actual locations.
Yeah.
For some of those temples.
They do, like, those stone-faced temples, like, in the Middle East.
Yes. Not. I don't think they used the one from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, but one similar to that.
Oh, then those are the ones in, like, Malaysia.
Yes.
Yeah. And they're great.
So I'll give them that. That's really, I'm glad to see that there are certainly some of the more fantastical scenes are green screened, but for the most part, I mean, that's fine. That's also in the first film. Mm-hmm. I grant them some good kudos for that. I think the fight scenes are done well. Everybody's clearly working hard. Again, there are some great performances. I love Jax. I think Jax is the gold player in this. But I also think, again, is it James Remar? Yeah, James Remar is a fine Raiden, and the rest of them are okay. I do like the guy who plays Shao Kahn. I just don't think I take him seriously as Shao Kahn.
You can't take him seriously in most things. Even when he was Buffalo Bill, it was a lot of like, huh? And I'm talking about Buffalo Bill from Joe Dirt.
Oh, okay. I did see that he was in Joe Dirt, but I haven't actually seen Joe Dirt.
So. Oh, that's okay. It has not aged well.
I'll take your word for it.
It was funny in 2004.
Okay. I'm not going to dig any deeper in that. With that. But no, I do think he's doing an admirable job for what he is. I think he's a better actor than the character of Shao Kahn allows him to be.
Oh, yeah.
But
he's allowed to chew on the scenery, and he did.
Speaking of chewing on the scenery, I believe her name is Musetta Vander, who played Sindel.
Oh, yes.
She is vamping it up. Looks like the most fun anybody is having in that film. Every
actor I've ever seen an interview with says that they enjoy playing the villain, and she believes that.
Absolutely. She's fantastic as the villainous Sindel. I also kind of believe her as the reformed character at the end. So yeah, I'll give her that. Sindel is a fantastic scene chewer and a real fun to watch.
Yeah, I recommend it because it's cheesy. It's very campy because it does take itself very seriously, but on the surface it's just kind of goofy. It's just when they try to bring the drama in, that's when it falls apart.
I agree with that. I think, all right, if you want to watch a bad film to laugh at it, then Mortal Kombat Annihilation is a very good choice for that, in my opinion.
For sure.
It is not how I appreciate bad films. I'll accept that that's just the way that I am different. I love watching bad films that I feel were made with passion and a unique, cohesive vision to what they were doing. I think Ed Wood is a great director in that regards, because I do believe that he loves what he's doing, even though ultimately they are not good films. I personally just don't see that in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. It's so disjointed and strange in its production that maybe I'm just not seeing it that way.
Yeah.
But I agree that if you're looking to rip it apart, then it's a great film to watch.
Yeah, it's a study in seeing what went wrong, because you can tell it had a good foundation and then things just kept falling apart.
Agreed.
Somewhere the actors weren't given the right motivation. Somewhere the set pieces, like for the later parts, like when it gets a little like outworldish, it's like someone cared. Someone put a lot of effort into that. And then you just get these people out there who just kind of like, this is the script I'm working with. All right. I guess I'm acting for a silly video game about people killing each other. Do I get to kill somebody? No, you die. Oh, okay.
Yeah, basically. And again, the worst decision I think they actually could have made is keeping Robin Shao, who plays Liu Kang. Not that I don't like him, I love him, but the problem is that I've seen how well he can do when they give him something good and fun to play as in the first Mortal Kombat, versus what happens when they just don't give him anything to work with.
Yeah.
So,
hell, you can get that from, Christopher Lee. Like, if you get any good actor and you put them in something a little silly, they're going to give you precisely what you pay them for.
Very true.
Yeah.
So
that does not justify what happened here. It's just how I cope with the fact that this movie is not as good as 10-year-old me wanted.
Agreed. By the way, again, I just want to say real quick before I think we should move on to seeing if cause, process, and effect impact even applies here.
Mm-hmm.
The actor who plays the actor who plays Jax is Lynn Williams. So I'm giving a shout out to that gentleman. And one of my favorite parts, though, is definitely when Motaro literally rips his metal arm off and beats him with it. It's such an unsubtle point in the film, but again, because Jax is one of the few characters that actually has an arc, deciding that he doesn't need his metal arms to actually succeed in any of this.
Yeah, there is no
it's
secret
just a
ingredient.
funny moment.
Like the power was in him all along.
Exactly. So just seeing him being beaten with his own crutch is such a weird moment in the film. So I don't know how anyone would assess our opinions on recommendation there, but there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at CPI.
Yes.
Cause is basically, if we're going to concentrate on the animalities here versus any of the other weird random transformation moments, cause is basically just believing in yourself hard enough.
It's going on a spirit journey that's about 1/3 the length you expected.
It does almost feel like that moment from Empire Strikes Back where Yoda is like, you're going to have to train for a really long time to be a Jedi. Oh, you want to peace out? Well, I guess you know enough.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
You faced a shadow. You're not ready. But, okay, he's flying away. All right.
Okay, fine. Have fun storming the castle.
I guess I'll just die then.
Yeah. Is there any other cause? I mean, as far as major transformations go in this film, I don't know if I'd really count any of them. Like, being dissolved in acid is not really... It's not really one that we...
It's chemically a transformation, but...
It is chemically a transformation. It is...
But, like, the big transformations, I would say everyone's already just kind of transhuman anyway. Like, a lot of it's...
For the most part, yeah.
Like, they were just that way. It's not like, Motaro was, a biped and became a quadruped. He just was.
And same for Shiva.
Mm-hmm.
She was always a four-armed person.
Yeah.
I think, actually, as far as longest-lasting transformations, Jax is probably it.
And his isn't even a transformation. He just puts on powerful arm warmers.
I mean, the cybernetic enhancement is... questionable in regards to how we want to categorize it, but it is. So we see the cause for him in that. Let's explore this for a second. Actually, He chooses. He opted to have this transformation done to himself to have his body cybernetically enhanced.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really see the process, as you say, though. It's basically arm warmers.
Yeah, he's in an exosuit, but only for his arms.
Mm-hmm. And so. We don't see the process. The process is off screen, but we definitely get a lot of impact.
Oh, yeah.
Both literally and metaphysically.
Yes.
We have plenty of points where he just does not know his own strength and is surprised by how powerful he is. Despite that, he gets the crap beaten out of him pretty regularly.
He does.
And an impact to that is also him over-relying on the strength of his arms and not, I'm being generous here when I look at his character arc, as not relying on his intuition and intelligence to find a way to defeat a foe without just punching them with metal arms.
Yeah, he's in the special forces. He's not a boxer.
Right, exactly. He's a trained military individual who should know that he's more than just the strength of his arms.
It's a shame that all the guns broke in the apocalypse.
What's that?
It's a shame that all the guns broke in the apocalypse. You had like 2 special forces people in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess when you merge with Outworld, the guns just go away. Like, even though at least one robot shoots missiles and the other one shoots acid. So
yeah, bombs exist, but bullets don't.
So yes, I think actually, as far as cause, process, and impact goes, Jax is the one we see in the most in regards to that. Again, though, I will state that I'm pretty sure he just defeats Motaro by then still punching him, but this time in the crotch.
With gusto.
Yes, with flair.
This time with feeling.
Yes, exactly. All the other transformations are pretty brief. Nightwolf can clearly transform back and forth pretty much at will, so, we get some process with him, for better or worse.
Yeah.
But we don't really know anything else in regards to it.
It's all spirituality and believing in yourself, yeah.
And then in the end, Liu Kang and Shao Kahn transform into their dragon-y forms and awkwardly rub up against each other, basically, and before falling...
They do a few bites.
Mm-hmm. And then they fall off a thing and transform back. Do they transform back off-screen? Do they, fall off the thing? Dragons?
No, it's just a very quick, weird thing where, it's really zoomed out, and then when they zoom back in, when they get, cut, to be, in their faces after the fall... They're basically done transforming. So they stand up and they're like, I guess we still got to do this.
Okay. And then they don't transform back again after that, right? It's a one and done.
No. It's the one and done. They realize that their own 2 hands are just as powerful. They learned the Jax lesson.
Yes. Yeah. Your animality was just a bunch of pointless metal arm sleeves the whole time.
Too bad you had to spend 90% of the movie trying to figure that out.
Well, at least Liu Kang didn't have to actually, complete the other 2 tests.
Ah, God. Or maybe he did.
We wouldn't know, because Nightwolf never comes back to even confirm whether or not he passed the first test.
Yeah. Yeah, you just walk out of school and assume you passed.
Mm-hmm. The best way of presuming you've passed school.
Correction, you're almost seduced out of school.
True. Again, though, who's the actress that plays Jade? Because I feel bad that I do not know offhand who that is.
That's a great question.
Because I do feel like I need to give her a shout out. She's not bad. Her acting isn't the worst in the film. Irina Penteva, I want to say is how I pronounce her last name. She is one of the better actors in the film. She certainly has a number of emotions through it.
Wait, hang on. I gotta make an adjustment. Kitana is the same actress throughout.
Yeah, oh, yes. I meant to mention that, and then I realized that she doesn't do a whole lot.
Yeah, she's just kind of present.
Yeah.
Except for fighting her mom, I believe.
They do battle at some point, but it's not First of all, okay, let's also mention that Kitana does fight... Somebody fights Jade, and during that time, off-screen, they defeat Evil Sindel, and just carry her in, and they're like, okay, now your love will... fix her and bring her back around to our side, which fails miserably and doesn't work. So I guess kudos to Mortal Kombat for this time around being the power of love has no power. It's a bold stance to take, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Kudos on the love is powerless over evil stance. It's not where I expected it to go, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, she's the same actress, but yes, Irina Penteva certainly makes an entrance and is actually one of the better actors in the movie. But so I would say honestly, outside of Jax, the cause, process, and impact is pretty small here in regards to these animality forms. It's almost like you didn't need them in the movie at all.
That they are very shoehorned in because they were in the 3rd game, and so they had to bring them in.
I almost wonder if they were in the process of writing it based on what happens in Mortal Kombat 2. And all of a sudden the 3rd game came out and they were like, oh crap, we're really behind the curve on this storyline already. Let's just throw in these things.
I think you're absolutely correct.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate being correct. So, all right. I don't have anything else to say on Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I think it's got its moments. If it's the kind of movie you enjoy, great, own it. Otherwise, you can get your kicks from it with a good clip reel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I feel bad because I don't have a lot of science to drop on this. This thing kind of defies a lot of social science. The only thing that's remotely close is like, why doesn't Sonya get the same storyline as Liu Kang? Like, that's there's something gender about that, you know it, but that's about all I got.
I mean, the fact that her big fight scene takes place in a mud pit, and Jax literally says to her, "Mud looks good on you."
Yeah,
I think it's one of our other four main female characters shows up in a bikini. I think it's safe to say that 5 dudes wrote this movie.
Yeah, like every woman is in skin-tight clothing, which is trying to stay with the original character design, but also that doesn't make it better.
Right, and also in one case, one character starts out in less clothing than her actual in-game outfit. So...
Yeah, and then she gets in there and everything's really, really pointy in the chest area.
Yeah. So it is a movie to consider in that regards. I don't always want to go back to the whole like, can people who aren't straight guys appreciate this movie? Because that's my thing now twice in a row.
That's a great question. I think the fight scenes are good for everyone, and everything else in between is not for human consumption.
I would agree. Yeah, I don't think we've made our thoughts on this any clearer. If anything, we've made them muddier. But we're not here to review movies. We're here to judge them harshly, apparently, and talk about the transformations in them.
Yes.
I do think it is an excellent example of metahumanism and transformation in a film. I just wish it was a better film.
You know, I will concur with that. That is pretty much exactly.
So there we have it. Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Our review of it, just as perplexing and weird and without an actual through line as the film itself. I would call that thematically appropriate.
Yeah. Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Watch it. Or don't.
Let us know if you feel like you shouldn't have if you watch it.
Yeah, let me know about how bad my taste is in the email.
At modmetapodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. You know what? Since I picked the last one, since I picked this monstrosity, how about you get to pick the next one?
I appreciate that, and I have been thinking about it.
Oh shit!
And I don't like what I've been thinking, honestly.
Oh,
because I'm feeling like I want to pick an unknown quantity.
An unknown? Is that the name of the movie?
No, it isn't. That would be an awesome name for a movie. I'm actually gonna not say yet. I'm gonna give myself the rest of the podcast to decide whether or not I want to pick a thing that I haven't watched and challenge us on that. And while I consider that, let's move into the next portion of our podcast, which is the personal pitches. And if we had an advertiser, we'd also mention them here, but we don't. If you're not yet. If you're interested in advertising in Modern Metamorphoses, because again, this is a transformation podcast designed for anybody, but we want to encourage creators of transformation media to have a place where they can advertise. Email us at modmetapodcast@gmail.com. Just today, I figured out what our rates are, so I actually have information I can send you. But I don't have anything else going on right now outside of my Patreon. If you like transformation comics and stories, then my Patreon is what you've been wishing for. That was stupid and cheesy, but I'm gonna go with it. If you like genies and wishes and transformations and any type of transformation, from multiple appendages and anatomy to inanimate. It's a weird thing for me to say that this is a general audience podcast where I am now pitching a Patreon, which is absolutely a mature Patreon. How do I talk about that in a general audience way? But check out, if you are 18 years or older, patreon.com/DSRedux. That's DSREDUX. Patreon.com/Redux. Or go to transformium.com, and if I ever remember to do it before we publish this, I will also have on transformium.com a page dedicated to Modern Metamorphoses, where you'll be able to see our episode list and see what we discussed on it. And I will hopefully do that before I post this episode up.
I'm sure you will. And if you don't, we'll live.
That's true. And, I'll get over it. Mr. Fort, do you have anything that you would like to bring up during our commercial break here?
So pretty much the big thing that I have going on is that every day I have been streaming on Twitch as twitch.tv/TheFortIsReal. I'll be streaming at 6 p.m. every day. I just got through all of World War Z. All those videos should be up. If not, I'm going to put them on YouTube. And then right now I'm painting a model kit. So basically just at least an hour a day, I'm going to be giving people something to kind of take their mind off of the stress of the world and just kind of either learn a skill or learn a book, find something that is good for just about everyone. I get culturally enriched and other people get to enjoy it. So if you need a break from your day, before dinner, after dinner, during dinner, feel free to stop on by. I'd love some company.
And I look forward to eventually joining that, but I have yet to remember to do that. I feel bad because I definitely put on my tablet and watch YouTube, totally forgetting that I have the Twitch app on there as well. So, one of these days I will tune in while I'm making dinner.
Yeah, I'm not deeply offended.
I appreciate that. So next we have the smaller segments of the podcast, and one of them is slightly new enough that although I remembered to put it on the schedule here, I forgot to bring up into my recording space here the thing I'm going to talk about. So
is it the book?
It's not the book. The book is actually right here. We have a new segment called "It Came from the Transformium,"
Ooh,
where it's my small thing that I want to discuss, and it's 3 comic books that are downstairs. So, Mr. Ford, if you'd like to vamp, or if you have a small thing you want to talk about into the void for our audiences,
yeah,
I will be right back. But I don't want to pause the recording and have to figure out how to resynchronize it later.
I can do that.
All right, be right back.
All right. So, what I learned, and this is going to be really fun for when he reads this or reviews this, I learned that there's like a hierarchy of clowns today. And that there are it's not just like this crazy amalgam of just people putting paint on their faces and looking like doofuses. Like there are like hobo clowns, which are like the brunts of the jokes and they don't get to do anything fun. There are middle class clowns that kind of like give and take. And then there's like white face clowns, like Ronald McDonald is a white face clown and they get to dress nice and all their colors are coordinated. And when they like approach a scene, it's all improvised comedy. And like the white face clowns get to, do most of the damage to other clowns. Anytime another clown tries to like put a prank against them, they get to turn it back. And all this is established by how much clowning you do. And so that basically by having that coded clothing and face paint, clowns can just meet up and understand their roles with each other and what they're allowed to do with each other without having to say anything. It's just implicitly understood. Isn't that crazy? But I want to talk with someone with that profession because I really want to know more about it because I don't like clowns a lot. But by God, if I could find someone who learned how to be a clown, I would love to talk with them.
Okay, I walked in and returned to an interesting conversation, I take it?
I designed it that way.
Well, I guess I'll learn all about that when I edit the podcast.
That's what I said.
All right. I'm back, despite doing the stupid thing of going down to pick up 3 comic books in the dark, getting back halfway up the steps and realizing that I'd grabbed the wrong 3 comic books, and then having to go back downstairs to get the other 3 that I intended to grab. You
bought me just the right amount of time.
Oh, good. So, just gotta take a moment to breathe here.
That's important.
So, all right. So, it came from the Transformium. The Transformium being my personal collection of transformation items. One day I would love to have an actual physical space which kind of acts like a library and research institute for anybody who wants to come read them. But until then, it's in my basement and a storage container, storage unit.
An archive of any type.
Exactly. So, I have 3 comic books here. They are the Green Lantern Corps number 37,
Mm-hmm.
Untold Tales of Blackest Night number 1, which is a one-shot, and then Green Lantern Emerald Warriors, which is also issue number 1 there. These are comics from DC Comics that go from their Blackest Night crossover that happened a number of years ago into their Brightest Day storyline. And I brought them because there's a character that is in the Green Lantern books. Her name is Lyssa Drak. And if you basically imagine a blue-skinned vampirella, that is what Lyssa Drak is. And she is obsessed with books. And I really enjoy these 3 issues because this is a series of issues spread out over the course of these 2 storylines that involve Lyssa Drak getting pushed inside of a book.
Oh.
She finds the Book of the Black and is definitely coveting it, wants to take it, and one of the Guardians of Oa grabs her and pushes her into the pages, and we see her trapped as an illustration on one of the pages. A living illustration now, trapped in this book that the Guardian just turns the page on and is like, have a good time in there. And she appears 3 times in the comics, trapped like this across these 3 series. And that's the reason I bring these today. You don't get to see a lot of trapped in the book as a living illustration transformations. And this one's done really well. The first 2 in particular are the straightforward, like they look like they've been, Lyssa Drak looks like she's been transformed into a 2D illustration, is very limited in her movements. The third one gets a little bit more metaphysical, where trapped inside the book, she's also able to experience some of the things that are in the book, which I don't, it's a great storytelling trick, but I don't feel like that really, it kind of defeats the purpose, I think, of showing somebody trapped inside of a book if they're not going to be limited to being now a 2D form on a sheet of paper where it's like, oh, but I can travel inside the subject matter of the book and interact with the material written within it. Like, well, no, now you've just created a portal to another world, which is a different thing.
Yeah, she's just the page master now.
Yeah, basically. So the third one, this Emerald Warriors book, has a little bit of that before she's eventually pulled out of the book by somebody. And later on in the story, I don't have this issue, but she does also trap a number of the other members of the Lantern Spectrum. The main characters, one of them being Star Sapphire. But that's again you're trapped in the book, but you're really just trapped in it. Like, you're experiencing what's in the book, not really the stuck as an illustration transformation. So I didn't really search out that book. But Green Lantern Corps number 37, Untold Tales of Blackest Night number 1, and Green Lantern Emerald Warriors. If you enjoy a good transformed into an illustration on the page sequence, and you get to see, again, that's a cause process impact. She's coveting this book. The process of being transformed into an illustration inside the book is absolutely done as a sort of irony karma. And you do see over the course of quite a lot of time between these issues that she's stuck in there. Like, that impact is she is out of the storyline for quite a while. And actually, at one point, the Green Lanterns find the Book of the Black and find her in that page and basically just mock her and turn the page and leave her in there and do nothing to try and get her out. So,
rude.
Yes, it's a little bit rude. So I find that the long-term impact, again, is something that's not often really done with transformations in comic books sometimes, and I appreciate that we did, that they came back to her a couple times throughout the lengthy crossover of Blackest Night and Brightest Day.
Interesting.
Thank you. So that's It Came from the Transformium. Any other, I don't know what, again, I missed while I was gone, so any Any other little transformation stuff that you've seen pop up or that you've got on your side?
Let's see here. The big things that I've seen. I watched the new Mary Poppins last night, and well, there's just a lot of surrealism, not a lot of transformation. Yeah,
I have not seen Mary Poppins Returns yet.
That it's okay. I'm not a big fan of musicals, like in like the traditional sense. I'm getting more fond of them, but this is one where I couldn't get into it just because I think it just seemed really busy.
I've not heard that about Mary Poppins Returns.
Yeah, like, so the best I can say about it is, without getting too into it, is that Mary Poppins, or the original, was your dad doesn't let you be kids, but he needs a nanny. And so I'm the nanny who brings the fun stuff along. And you kind of get to, like, experience wonder and imagination. And that's like, she's an absurd person in a real world. And that formula works great. But this one, it's like everything's a little whimsical in the background. And things are also very serious at times. Like, there's like a real human plot about like losing a house to the bank. And like, that's like the A plot. And then she shows up and she's like, well, I'll take care of your kids. And the kids are just like, oh, it sucks that mom died. And they're like, and she's like, well, let's go check out this cool deep sea adventure in the bathtub. Let's go. Like, it just doesn't, there's no cohesion to the surreal. And so it just kind of feels a little, busy. It doesn't get a moment to breathe and be, grounded.
I do think, just from what I've heard of it, is that it's interesting that you say it's not grounded, because for a lot of people, there could be no more of a grounding problem than I can't afford where I live and they're going to take it away from me.
But they don't put enough attention into it.
That is what I feel like. I feel like it's not a problem that honestly being like, I should be more whimsical and childlike is the solution for, where in the first film, the big problem was my parents, both of them, because he's a big banker who's completely obsessed with his work, and she, admirably so, is trying to do the women's suffrage. Mm-hmm. But both of them are so obsessed with their individual things that the big arc of the story is, the two of them, more so Mr. Banks, realizing that they're not connecting with their children and they should look, to be more attentive to them, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
It's a classic, though. It is, as someone who is now an adult and has bills to pay and a house to, pay a mortgage on, I am, though, kind of like, well, in Hook, you do understand that making money to, house and feed people is important. But I think it's an attitude problem with Mr. Banks and of course, Peter Darling in Hook.
So, like, in this one, it suffers from the modern movie problem of, I don't know who the main characters are. I can't tell which plot's the plot that really should be taking the forefront of the movie. So there's like 3 different plots going on, and they're all equally important, but they don't seem to match the point of the movie or the tone of the movie.
Okay, I can see that.
And also, like, the music's okay.
It's going to be hard to compete with the originals.
But there's
at least the nostalgia of it.
Yeah, there's some good moments where, like, there is some transformation in the sense of, like, they at one point go into like a piece of ceramic, like they get into a bowl, and like they're like interacting with cartoons, but they also have like different clothes on. They have different aesthetics, but it's not the same way. It's more of just kind of like putting a filter over something. It's not an actual transformation.
Well, you gave it a good try there, Disney.
I will give them credit because Lin-Manuel Miranda is great.
I do enjoy Disney's like love affair with Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I love everyone's love affair with Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I mean, I'm not going to complain if anybody for whatever reason wants to give me more Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yes.
But it's just like, how many things has he worked on with them at this point?
See here, there's Moana.
Yeah, I think he's writing a song for The New Little Mermaid, I think.
Probably.
And then of course he was in this. Like I'm certain. Oh, he's in. He voices Gizmo Duck in the new DuckTales cartoon.
That he does. Yeah.
Yeah, which is fantastic, by the way. I don't know if you've been watching the new DuckTales series.
I haven't.
I cannot recommend it more strongly. It is overall, it's probably one of the most fun cartoon shows that I've watched, probably since Gravity Falls, maybe, if we're going to focus on Disney cartoons. And everybody seems perfectly cast for it, and it's just so much fun. As someone who definitely grew up on Disney Afternoon, watching them slowly building this like shared rebooted universe of the Disney Afternoon, because of course we've had Darkwing Duck shows up on there. There's actually a reference to the Gummy Bears in there. Don Carnage from Tailspin is a character that shows up in multiple episodes. It's just a fantastic show, and all the better for having Lin-Manuel Miranda on it. So
that's the most I got for the Transformium, is that's that in World War Z, where people transform into zombies.
We will probably need to tackle that question of whether or not zombieism counts as a transformation, but I don't know if today's the day to do it.
Yeah, I think that should be its own episode. Absolutely.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I very much love the romantic comedy Warm Bodies, which could certainly qualify as an interesting thing to explore on here. Have you seen Warm Bodies?
A while ago.
I'm not going to say anything more about it. It is on my list of things to add to the Transformium, so we'll wait and see on that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if you really want us to tackle Warm Bodies, write to modmetapodcast@gmail.com. And do your best to influence us.
Yeah, we might take requests if there's strong enough pull for it.
Mm-hmm. I have only one last thing on the agenda to discuss. It is the Modern Metamorphoses book club.
Yes.
Last episode, you chose for me, of the books that I offered to read, MODELLAND by Tyra Banks, a book that I was extraordinarily and most authentically interested in reading, and I have read my 5 chapters, and I am so angry that I had to stop at the end of chapter 5.
Oh, you wanted to keep going.
Oh my god, I wanted to keep going so badly. I'm loving this book. Right now, the best that I can describe it to you is that it's a little bit of a Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory vibe right now.
Oh, I dig that.
There's definitely MODELLAND is this place atop a mountain that all the people want to be invited to. Every year, like, there's a select 5 or 6 people who get to go to MODELLAND. They are chosen by finding a thing. In Willy Wonka, it's the golden ticket. In this book, they're called smizes. And the writing is fantastic too. The writing is extremely enjoyable. I really enjoy that here and there Tyra Banks will sometimes just alliterate every word in a sentence, or they'll all, like, every other word will rhyme. And she definitely enjoys just not making up words. Like, she definitely employs words that may not have existed before she put them in this book, but they make sense. And there's some great turns of phrases. Hold on, I'm actually going to open the book here. I've marked some moments here, just 3, so we're not going to dwell on it too long. But as I mentioned, there's a place on a mountain that everybody wants to go to, and it's surrounded by fog, and they know that it's time for everybody to find out, who's been chosen when the fog goes away. And so the language that she writes here, it's page 1. Like, I've got page 1 marked here. You begin your morning staring at the fog, longing for the fateful evening when it will turn a golden yellow, and then, finally, like a push-up brassiere, lift. And I love that. It's such a great turn of phrase to use in this very model. They're going up there to become these ridiculously famous models, all of whom will have a superpower. And it's also a bit Willy Wonka, though, in that people know terrible things happen to people that go here. Like, there's this one sentence about that there are certain disposable civilian girls are brought to the land to be tortured and then killed, used as human sacrifices for ungodly experiments and animalistic rituals.
Oh.
It's obvious why they torture them, the gossip mongers whisper. Those in the land bathe in civilian blood to maintain their breathtaking beauty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's just like, All right, yeah, absolutely. That's just what happens to some people who go to Model Land.
That's a little brutal.
Yeah. There's one other thing that I marked here, and what is it? Oh, so all of the different countries in this book, they all have or at least their like counties or whatever, have like one thing that they do, and the area that Tookie, our main character, works in, is mostly a manufacturing district, and she does go to high school. It's a very interesting aspect that this high school is an old converted factory, and it talks about how there are still parts of the school that are automated and just do factory things here and there, like belching out foul smells, and that nobody knows how to stop it. But she talks about the classes that they have in this school, and it's as Tookie was exiting her last class of the day, a course called Autology, which stressed that students must look inside themselves to determine what kind of factory work best suited them. Like, I don't know. I've loved chapters 1 through 5, and it was an easy read. I could have probably finished this book over 3 days. If not sooner. So I'm actually going to say that for next time, I am going to read through the next 10 chapters, so through chapter 15. I don't even know where that's going to place me in this, because I'm about a 16th of the way through it just with those 5 chapters. But anyway, loving Model Land. I hope if you're reading along at home, you're enjoying it too. Certainly feel free to reach out to us and let us know if you are or not. I'm not going to plug the email again. I feel like it's been plugged enough so far. But yes, so Model Land, enjoying it quite thoroughly so far, and do recommend you start reading with us if you feel like it's something you'd enjoy. It's just this unique fantasy world that they talk about wanting to have more voices in fiction, so that we can get different stories, and this is a different story. This is a unique story that I can at the moment recommend.
Yeah, that certainly sounds it.
Anyway, I've talked a lot this evening. Is there anything that have I bulldozed you at all? For the people at home, this is our first time recording where we don't have a multi-second delay between the two of us.
I think it actually has allowed us to speak a little more evenly.
I hope so. I know that I am loud and opinionated, so.
But, I think I've contributed plenty good.
I think I appreciate your humoring my complete disparagement of Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Oh, no, trust me, I think it's earned it.
So, the time has come where I have to decide what we're doing next episode.
Mm-hmm.
There is something that I picked up for the Transformium, based entirely on the cover.
Oh.
And it's probably not an unknown entity to the particular community who enjoy this particular aspect that it is about.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a little bit more obscure. It's certainly not something like any of the Attack of the 50-Foots or 60-Foots, cheerleaders or centerfold or women's, and it's not as well known as like the Puppet People or anything like that. But I am curious. I don't know if it's good or if it's bad, but I know it involves a shrinking teacher. And so I am going to put forward Help, I Shrunk My Teacher.
All right. I have not heard about that one.
The only thing I'll say is I watched enough of it when I first added it into the video reference that I thought I had gotten a bad disc, and then I realized it's dubbed. So, we have that to look forward to for, 80-some minutes. Are you down for Help, I Shrunk My Teacher for our next episode?
Absolutely.
All right. I'm glad that you're far more enthusiastic than I am now that I'm realizing I've probably doomed us all. So
I am not a coward in that respect.
All right. Well, I think we'll be back then in another month. And in that time period, anybody who wants to watch along with us, see if you can track down Help, I Shrunk My Teacher otherwise, I think this is Dan Standing saying goodbye.
And this is Alex Ford also saying goodbye. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Modern Metamorphoses.
Goodbye.
Make sure I'm getting, squiggly lines, okay. How about yourself?
I'm going, I got a flat line, and now I can see my speech.
Okay, so do you want me to count it down this time?
Please.
All right. 1, 2, 3. And stop.
I shall also stop.